well too, but you know, I met Wayne Wong at the ski camp, and I had that connection. I went on to be a ski instructor, never became a freestyler, but I kept my love of skiing. And when I talked to Wayne, I finally was able to connect with him. That took a few months. But when I did, and he remembered me, I wanted to do a short film on the first contest, 1971, that Doug was one of the key organizers with Tom Corcoran. The two of them put that contest together. And I wanted to do a short film on the startup of freestyle, that first event. And after I did my interview with Wayne, he said, you know, you need to keep going and collect these interviews because they haven't been recorded to the depth and detail that you're trying to do. And so a big part of this is the 30 hours of oral history that we have of freestyle, the startup of freestyle, that now can be in the Hall of Fame and at ski museums around the world. And then it was me as doing a first-time feature to stick with it and try to put something together that would create that interest. But that's my story, and I really want the people on stage.
Yeah, why don't you introduce?
So we have Gania Fuller and Bob Solaire now next to me, two of the most outstanding overall skiers, both world champions back in that first era, hopefully not forgotten era of freestyle. But they were the tops in everything that they did. I believe that Gania may be the only person ever, male or female, to win at an event each individual, moguls, aerials, and ballet, and the overall, to have 4 medals around her neck. And Bob probably won multiple times, each and every one. I don't know if you put all 4 together. You probably got close.
Yeah, you did.
Doug Pfeiffer, who is considered a founding father of freestyle. He is the architect of the original competitions that became the Pro Tour, and was a trickster himself and a ski instructor, living legend of freestyle, and it's such an honor that he and his wife, Virginia, are down here. Virginia, who's in the audience, Virginia Sturgis at the time was a top photographer. Many of the covers on the skiing magazines, some of the footage that you saw in there, she took those photos, along with Jennifer Josephs, who's with Mike here, who is also a photographer, a top photographer, and a very important person in freestyle history in the back as well. Michael Grazier, who was also, all of these guys were great overall skiers. Mike did get some acclaim though with his aerialist. First guy ever to do a triple flip in competition, years before it was ever done before. And my guess is he was kind of the go for it in freestyle and free spirit as well, and I sense he still is today.
One of the Bambini boys.
Scott Willingham and Rusty Taylor, who are both here today, they were captured by the first few years and joined into the in that first era, and were going really strong when freestyle was banned in the U.S. and the tour was shut down. Both of them, again, great overall skiers, but top ballet skiers and very acclaimed ballet skiers in the sport. So it's amazing to have them here and be able to see it on the big screen for the audience. So
does anybody out there have any questions for our guests today? Anybody? Oh.
How long you say you've been working on the film?
This was, it was a 5-year project. It started when I got laid off, and of course, about a month later, I got rehired, a full-time job. And so this was being done. You can always tell when something's a very indie film when you see like the last name of the director. Half the people in the credits have my last name. My daughter, Emma Gilmore, who now is 13, was one of my PAs. It was me and a camera, light set. I mean, every shot we did. Gania was kind of my production assistant when we did the shots here in LA, the interviews here in LA. So 5 years while working a full-time job as a mental health youth counselor and now a school counselor, and trying to, one, the road trip of trying to capture these interviews, and two, all that archival footage was not easy to find. So that was a search in itself as well too. As an indie filmmaker, I could have gone to if I had money, I could have gone to the networks. I could have paid to get footage. You had to be much more creative to find it. And this film is very much a tribute to those photographers and those independent filmmakers that were on the mountain and very much a part of that the whole startup of freestyle as well too. So it was an honor to have Dick Barrymore's footage and some of the early Warren Miller footage. A guy by the name of Barry Stott Shots. He's the first one to help me with a lot of the stills. Some of the resorts that opened their doors and said, in a basement we got a couple shoe boxes of film. I don't know if it's, or slides. Don't know if it's what you want. But we found some amazing stuff in that treasure hunt too for the archival footage.
Great. I saw somebody else raise their hand back there.
That was part of my question, how he found some of this footage. To go on to that, how painstaking was it, these classic characters that were free spirits, how painstaking was it to narrow down what they had to say? Because it was all so fascinating. Must have taken a lot of editing, a lot of time to figure out how to narrow that down.
You know, as things get going, for me, to do the road trip of capturing all these interviews and to be in my basement tinkering around, you know, with Final Cut Pro on my Mac, you know, that's one thing. To then be entrusted to protect everybody's interviews and how I take a first shot at the legacy of how the sport was started is a huge responsibility. I chose not to do narration because I wanted them to totally be their story. But yeah, we had 30 plus hours of footage. It was really hard. You could watch a reel of Michael Grazier's and just be laughing, and to cut out some of his best humorous lines, I should put him into outtakes, and the reel there was really tough. And again, that oral history is preserved, but it takes a little bit more effort to see those interviews versus what you put on screen. So it was a very difficult process. I brought another person, Caleb Young, who's a producer and a director in my town, who actually does make a living as a filmmaker, and he is not a skier. And so for him, I would send him sequences and he would butcher it up, or he'd say, look, it's great. And I either had to defend it or realize that, yes, thanks for having it move. And he wanted it to be interesting to him as someone who wasn't a skier. Stan Larson, who's the other producer, was part of this group, and he's a filmmaker, and he